ดีครับผม PK ภัสกรและนี่คือรายการ Time to Talk หรือถึงเวลาคุยกันนะครับขอบคุณทางรายการมากนะครับที่ชวนผมมาเป็นผู้ถามคำถามแทนรายการนะครับรายการนี้ก็เป็นรายการที่เราพยายามค้นหามุมมองใหม่ๆเพื่อที่จะอินสปายในการใช้ชีวิตนะครับซึ่งเราหวังว่าทอล์กนี้จะมีประโยชน์ข้ามการเวลานะฮะวันนี้แขกของเรานะครับชื่อนิกกี้เบนแต่วันนี้พิเศษนิดนึงนะครับเราจะพูดภาษาอังกฤษนะครับเพราะนิกกี้จริงๆนิกกี้เป็นคนไทยเป็นลูกครึ่งแต่ว่านิกกี้เขาถนัดภาษาอังกฤษมากกว่า
ใช่ครับ
Yeah so what's up Nikki how are you
สวัสดีครับ
Hey Nikki how are you
I'm very good man
Hey Nikki what's your ลูกครึ่ง again you ลูกครึ่ง right
Yeah
what's your half
so my mom is from Thailand my father's Australian
nice that's good and how are you doing today brother
Yeah very good man
That's good man
It's good to connect back with you again actually It's been like 6 years
more no
The last time I saw you was about 6 years ago
probably but like so Nikki and I we were in the same we sort of grew up together we sort of basically grew up together before you moved schools when in what year was it again
It was
how many years ago did you move
2009
but we kept chilling until 2015 until university came and we sort of split ways I went to do my thing and you sort of
I was still in Bangkok
you were hanging out you were hanging out that's good man that's good and thanks for coming today man
yeah no problem at all
so Nikki here is my brother he's my good homie we've been through a lot together so much
absolutely
so much maybe too much but it's a good thing
it makes for good stories
it makes for a good story and you know what we're really happy for you to come on the show Time to Talk thank you so much for thank you so much for coming to the show it's really an honor to be connecting with you on a very creative level now
pleasure's all mine thank you very much for having me
that's good man that's cool man so could you introduce yourself just a little bit to the people who are watching right now brother
yeah so my name is Nick Bain I'm 26 years old and I've been working in the crypto space for about 4 years now the first 2 as a content manager for a decentralized wallet company and for the last 2 I've been working as a business developer for a blockchain technology company
that's super cool man
right
That's super cool.
I was based in Ukraine for the first 3 years of my blockchain career.
Wow.
And after that, we moved to Dubai.
The company, yes?
Yes, the company. We still have an office in Kiev, even today, actually.
Even today? That's great. And you guys are operating?
Yeah, actually, there's people going to the office. You know, work is being done, I hope. And the spirits are high. And so we have an office also in India. In India,
okay.
And in Ukraine, and in Dubai.
And in Bangkok as well?
No, not in Bangkok.
How'd you get started? You had a friend, right? That introduced.
Actually, it was mostly dumb luck. Actually,
what's dumb luck?
Dumb luck.
Dumb luck. Okay.
Yeah, it was mostly dumb luck.
Fate, right? Fate.
Yeah, so I was looking for a job. I saw on Craigslist of all places, right? I was like, okay, well, I need a job now. So there was a position for a social media manager for a online gaming company. I was working there, and I got really close with the CEO who has a background in network security and coding, right? And because after the Bitcoin boom of late 2017,
that was a big one.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was the first time, you know, crypto really entered mainstream consciousness, in my opinion.
It's about 5 years ago, yeah?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I remember when it first came in like 2011. We're like, what is this?
No one ever. It was very easy to dismiss it, right?
One of the homies, he bought a coin in like 2011. Oh, I don't know how long. How long has crypto been around for?
So Bitcoin was actually launched, I believe, January 3rd of 2009.
Okay, so he bought one in 2011 and he sold it like 6 months later. And I remember him messaging the group like, "Oh man, I really messed up."
Yeah. That was my first interaction with Bitcoin. Actually, my first interaction with Bitcoin was in 2014.
Right.
This is a very interesting story, so I'm just going to segue into this a little bit.
Please,
right?
go on.
So actually, one of the first. So I don't know if I can just say this on your podcast, but one of the first main use cases for cryptocurrency in the early days was actually drugs.
What does that mean? To buy, like to purchase
drugs.
The dark web.
Yeah, because what you needed was on the dark web to buy narcotics. You needed a decentralized anonymous currency that you could trade, because if you just send someone your money on a card or PayPal or something like that,
it's very trackable.
Then it's very easy to trace, and if someone goes down, then you're in trouble as well. And obviously the person selling the narcotics doesn't want that.
Of course.
So this was Bitcoin's first mainstream use case was actually for drugs on the dark web.
It's crazy, man. And to think that is like everywhere now.
Yes.
To think that, you know, but it's evolved along the way.
Yes,
from
absolutely.
like from 2014. I don't know when I don't know what time frame you're referring
Yeah,
to.
so that was around 2014. That was my first interaction with Bitcoin. Not that I bought any.
Yeah, no, but you've heard of it.
Simply, I saw on the internet that people were using something called Bitcoin to buy drugs off the internet.
And decentralization is cool. It's interesting, you know. Like these financial institutions, it's interesting, but also institutionless is also not a bad thing, you know.
Yeah, and, I mean, it depends.
There's a philosophy behind this.
Yes, exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah,
it's a very philosophical debate, right? So the whole thing about decentralization is that it puts ownership into the hands of the people, right? So like if I were to send you money on, let's say, PromptPay or PayPal, right? Mm-hmm. There is a intermediary that figures out how much funds I have, and who you are, who I am, and then they process the transaction, right? Okay. Whereas on a decentralized network like Bitcoin, I'm able to send money directly to you without any intermediary. Right. Yeah,
the whole middleman.
Exactly. Know? So it's a very philosophical thing, right? Because in a system like a bank, right?
Okay, like a bank.
Your funds can technically be frozen. It can be controlled and manipulated by the people who control the bank.
Right.
Whereas in Bitcoin, it's not so. As long as I own my private key, which is my access to the Bitcoins, no one can control what I do with this Bitcoin.
Right. And no one owns Bitcoin, eh?
No, I mean you can own Bitcoin.
No one runs Bitcoin. No one runs crypto.
Yeah. So no one. The creator of Bitcoin is an enigma called just a man called Satoshi Nakamoto.
Okay, a Japanese man.
Well, no one knows who he is. That's a pseudonym.
Oh, it's a pseudonym.
Yes,
and how do you know it's a pseudonym? That's a question.
Yeah, it's a very good question actually. So in 2008, around October 30th,
there was
a white paper was released.
White paper.
Yeah, white paper. It's a document that details how a technology is an emerging technology or a new technological product will be built.
Okay.
Right. A white paper was released, and it was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer cash system or something like that.
Right.
And it was written by a man called Satoshi Nakamoto. It was about 8 pages long, and it detailed what Bitcoin was going to be, how it worked, and how decentralization was going to benefit people. Right. So that was the first basis of this thing called Bitcoin, which we know today.
And in this white paper that he's written down, has things developed in the way that he has? Let's call it a manifesto. But has the manifesto worked its way out the way it said it will?
Yeah. Again,
did this Nakamoto person predict the future essentially?
Yeah. So in a way, yes, I would say yes, because what he wanted, which was a peer-to-peer decentralized payment system, right? Did work. So Bitcoin does work, right? Like I can send money to someone in the US in a matter of minutes for cents, and it's a transaction that no government entity or state actor can prevent. Right?
Yeah.
Which is not the same as like a Swift transfer or something. If I wanted to send money to someone in the US, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of KYC.
All of this.
Exactly.
And it takes time too. It takes a lot of time, right?
Yes.
Like you gotta wait for the banks. You can't send it on like weekends. You can only send it on weekdays when they're working, and God forbid the whole the whole holidays. That we gotta move. We gotta move fast, and the world is picking up its pace, and we gotta live. Like every day is a journey. Every day is like you sort of have to play tango with life, and cash is important, muy importante. So like being able to send it like right now, is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the whole idea of digital ownership, right? Being able to own something online and have it done in a decentralized way was groundbreaking, and that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin is so popular in today, right? Because like I said, in 2014 it was used for this one thing, narcotics, right?
Right.
Mostly, but now it's a tool for many financial institutions, especially in the crypto space, right? It's called DeFi, decentralized finance.
Okay.
That's so like a lot.
for me.
Yeah. So decentralized finance is basically financial sort of activities that is done in a decentralized way, i.e., on the blockchain.
Blockchain. That's like the biggest keyword nowadays. It's really funny. Nikki was trying to clarify what blockchain was to me, and could you tell everyone what, like, in simple terms?
Yeah, sure.
I know you do BD, so you must say the script a lot.
Yeah.
What is blockchain? Because I'm telling you right now, like, people who are watching of all ages, you hear the word blockchain, but it's so hard to define for me, you know.
Yeah. So what blockchain is it's a distributed it's a way to record information on a distributed ledger in the way that new blocks are being added to the blockchain, and through this method we are able to determine how valid data is, and it comes with certain benefits, right? So in a blockchain system, you can, in a decentralized way, add data into the blockchain, like, you know, transaction data, like transaction data, right? And because it's done in a decentralized way, it becomes censorship resistant. It becomes immutable, right? It means you can't just go back and change it. If you're going to go back and change it, it's going to be very clear who did it.
Yeah, it's clearly like imagine like what do you call it? Like when like back in the caveman days, it's like sort of like writings on a cave, writings on a stone, except it's technology, right?
Yes. So it's very clear. It's a very sort of chronological way to add data to a system.
Right. So please explain to me, like, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot in this topic. Who owns blockchain technology? Is it owned by anybody?
No. Blockchain technology. It's sort of like saying you know, you have blockchain technology is the underlying technology, right? So what I like to say is
it's like a technology. It's like the wheel. It's like the wheel.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, you know, the underlying technology can be an Android operating system, and, you know, an app on the Android operating system is like a cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency runs on blockchain technology.
I see. I know data is very important about blockchain. Clearly, it's like you add a block to the blockchain, eh?
Yes.
So where is it stored? The information, is it just stored on the cloud, or is there some sort of data server?
It's stored on. It depends on the blockchain, but it's stored on different nodes, right? So I like to come back to Bitcoin because it is complicated, but it is the most simple one, and it's the one that I'm most familiar with, right? Bitcoin has thousands of nodes around the world. You or I can download the full Bitcoin blockchain, which is like a few hundred gigabytes, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And you and I can run a node, and you and I will have a full ledger of every transaction that has ever happened on the Bitcoin blockchain.
It's collective. It's collective. Yeah. Everyone can have a node, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But the people who add blocks to the blockchain, in Bitcoin in particular, are miners, right? So people with a very expensive machines, computers called ASICs that run an algorithm and are trying to solve one particular problem. Whoever solves this problem first has the right to add a block to the blockchain. So there needs to be consensus.
Yeah, this whole mining thing is like the newest trend, isn't it? I have a friend who just invested, like, him and his friends just put in like 100,000 baht, no, 200,000 baht per person. So like they bought this computer, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, we have one computer, and it's just running like crazy right now. Mining is like the newest thing. I know so many cats out there who just like, yeah, I got a miner, I got a computer, I got a mining computer.
Yeah, there's different kinds. So if
you have advice for people, like, can people actually live off mining here?
Right now, the mining is in a very dubious state because of the price of Bitcoin and because of I'm not going to throw around too many big terms, but because mining depends on competition, right? So if you have more computing power, called hash rate, right? If you have more computing power, you are more likely to solve the problem and find the next block. And then if you find the next block, you get a reward. That's how mining works, right? But if there's like a lot of people with a lot of powerful computers, you're competing with them, right? So the amount of rewards you're able to get per day is less and less because more people are entering.
Mining,
yeah, more people are mining. Exactly.
So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that, for example, your company is in blockchain technology, and there's a mining aspect of it. It's a good. It's a good thing for these independent miners to get into a sort of firm.
Yes.
Right. Because like what I'm asking is, okay, if I won the lottery of like 1 million baht, buy a crypto company, buy a mining machine. Obviously, it's not gonna be like I'm not gonna get money right away, right?
No.
I mean, like a layman might think, yeah, but no, it's not. But how does So how does one make an investment if they want to get into blockchain mining, my friend?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. That's sort of what my focus has been on for the past 6 months, dealing with a lot of big Bitcoin miners.
Please tell me about it.
And trying to increase their profitability with our technology, right? So you would first need to buy an ASIC.
Okay.
Right, which stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit, right?
Wow. Okay.
Which is, it's essentially like an aluminum box about yay big.
Oh,
right.
It's not that big.
Yeah, but you buy many of them.
Oh,
right? You buy many of them. Each one fluctuates in price based on Bitcoin. Right now, I think you can buy one for like a really really good one for like maybe like $3,000.
Okay.
But at its peak, it was like like last year, 12 months ago, it was $12,000.
Wow.
Right. This is the same machine, by the way. Right. So what you would do is you would buy this machine, you would place it in a facility, preferably with cheap electricity.
And somewhere cool, right?
Yes,
this
exactly.
Stuff is really expensive and it runs 24/7.
Exactly.
As I am aware, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Exactly. So yeah, you would put it somewhere where there's cheap electricity and that was cool and that you were certain, you're not going to get these machines stolen because that happens quite a lot actually. And you would run the machine to start mining Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And you would send this computing power to what's called a mining pool.
Okay.
Right. And depending on how much computing power you have, hash power, you get a certain amount of Bitcoin every day. So if you had like thousands of these machines running all day, every day, you could mine quite a lot of money.
Wow. You said a couple hundred Bitcoins per day. Did you say that?
No. I said if you had like a few hundred of these machines or a few thousand, you could mine quite a few of these every day. I think the current figure now is if you had about 10,000 of these machines, right? If you had 10,000 of these machines.
I don't want to run the math, but sounds like a lot of money.
Maybe around $30-40 million. Yeah, maybe less because you're able to buy the machines for cheaper.
Okay.
If you're buying in bulk, right?
Okay.
You would probably right now. I checked the data. You'd probably be able to mine 3.5 Bitcoins per day. 3.5
Bitcoins per day, and how much does?
And that's about
translates to
$59,000-$60,000.
$60,000 per day.
Per day.
So in a month, I would be making quite some cash.
Yeah. But right now, it's quite cheap actually. But
so it's a good time.
Sorry, no. The price of Bitcoin is quite cheap. So the returns you're getting is not so good compared to like 6 months ago where you would be making almost 4 times as much.
Right. But the machines are cheaper now.
Yes.
So I mean, there's a saying, right? Like when you're in a recession, it's the best time to get rich. I think some guy said that. I just Instagram reels, TikTok, But I swear some guy said that, and it's like you buy into stocks when it's really cheap.
Yeah.
Because when times are good, you make money. And so could I say the same thing about crypto right now?
Yeah,
my friend?
So I would say yes. I would say right now we're definitely in a bear market. It's November 2022, just for future reference. But right now we're definitely in a bear market. And sentiment is very low. Confidence in crypto is very low.
It's very, very low in it.
And bad news or FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Is amplified in this kind of environment. Investor
confidence is so important.
Yes,
it's so important.
So right now, bad news is amplified. If I during the all-time high November last year, right? If I started going around and saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero, or the crypto industry is a sham, and all that, or something bad, right?
Right.
It was very easy to dismiss it as, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But now, if I'm saying it in a bear market where everything is down, people take this kind of news more seriously.
Right.
Which is very interesting.
Which brings me to a big question of mine, actually. Like, should we put our money on the future of electronic money? Do you see the future in here, or at least from someone who has clearly spent at least 4 years in this industry specifically? Is there how do you feel about it?
So what I
you have hopes, you know?
So that's actually a very good question. So what I will say is the industry itself is definitely moving that way, right?
It moving which way? In a positive way?
Yeah, it's moving the industry.
It's still growing, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Bitcoin came out maybe 13-14 years ago, and I would say the industry itself is maybe 7, 8, or 8 years old. Like people actually making money off,
I see.
building businesses and companies around this, right? So it's still very, very new. very, very new, right? And I think it's a good idea simply because like a lot of the world is moving into the direction of, okay, we need to integrate this into our lives somehow, right? Like crypto has grown a lot in Thailand. Now I won't say to people, okay, put your money here because that would be irresponsible, right?
Right. You mentioned earlier it's a golden rule. It's a golden unspoken rule in the crypto business to advise on finance unless you're
Unless you're like a certified financial advisor. Yeah.
So yeah, you don't advise us on like what
So
to
this
put
is
your money
not financial advice. Do your own research, please. Yeah.
Sounds good, my friend.
Yeah.
What he said. But yeah, is there hope in the industry? Is this something people should not like see as like a trend?
So
People should see as like a you know because like when internet came out, people were like internet's not a big thing, but the internet became
absolutely.
big, you know.
Yeah. So I can only give my opinion, and my opinion is
Just your opinion.
yeah. So my opinion is absolutely that it is something. I don't think it's a fad. I really don't think it's a fad. I think it's something that is challenging the existing financial institutions, and I think they're scared, right? And I think it is something that can benefit everyone in the world at some point.
It could.
I really think it could, and I think we're still early, right? So that's why I love crypto, right? I kind of stumbled onto it. It was not like I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna start getting into the crypto space. I stumbled upon it, and now I don't want to leave because I really do think this is the future. I really do believe in the future of, you know, blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies helping out people in their daily lives.
That's cool.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, I hope it does because it sounds like based on the facts, it sounds like it could and it will, you know. Well, I mean, I wish you luck. Like you mentioned that this is something I just learned like 10 minutes before we doing this podcast. But what did you say? Like about 120 years from now, all the crypto will be fully mined?
No, Bitcoin.
All the Bitcoin will be mined?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, crypto is a bunch of different currencies.
Yeah, there's many different cryptocurrencies. So just to sort of give your viewers some information, right? There's 21,000 different cryptos that are indexed on a site called CoinMarketCap.
Okay.
Which is sort of like your go-to place for crypto prices and so on, right? So there's a lot of cryptos out there, and probably thousands more that have not been indexed on this site, right? And each of them are supposed to serve a purpose, or ideally they should serve a purpose, right? When you said this about Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin is mined, right? And its reward per block is halved every 4 years. So in the beginning, it was like 50 Bitcoins per block every 10 minutes, approximately. And, you know, and then became 25, 25, 12.25, 12.5. Now it's 6.25. So because of this diminishing reward system, it's calculated that the last Bitcoin block will be mined in, I believe, 2141. Something like that. So 120 years from now.
Yeah. Right. So in about 120 years from now, it won't be mining. It would just be it'll be like gold. It would be something that's finite.
Yeah. It is finite already because, you know, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins according to the protocol. Yes, exactly.
So essentially, we can use it as like sort of vouchers and trade. Like it could be I don't know. It could be a commodity, or it could be a currency. But either way, it's finite.
Yes.
And anything that's finite, well, it's finite.
Yeah. So this is why a lot of, you know, economists and a lot of crypto pundits and enthusiasts argue that it's technically a better money than, you know,
money
than actual like currencies.
You can continue to print out like bills. Yeah. Right. And that is inflation, deflation, so on and so forth because of whatever, you know,
the
whole.
It's all controlled by the government and the Federal Reserve.
Right.
In the case of.
But when you have a finite sort of thing, let's call it an entity.
Yes.
It could be used instead of. I mean, we used to use rocks.
There was I think there's an evolution of money. It used to go from bartering to, you know, shells to gold.
Right.
To, you know, paper money that would represent like your ownership of a certain amount of gold in a bank.
In the bank. That's the original way. I think I read that on TikTok again.
Exactly. Yeah.
I swear I'm learning the world through TikTok now.
I mean, that's our generation's way of learning, right?
Honestly.
And then now, you know, this is sort of like the new transition. What a lot of people argue, because the one right before Bitcoin was, you know, sort of like digital money, right? Like banks issuing money, and you have your money not really stored in physical form. It's not really backed by gold, right? Even in the U.S. when Nixon took the U.S. dollar off the gold standard, right? So even in the U.S. the U.S. dollar is not backed by gold, right?
Not anymore.
No, since I believe the 70s.
A while ago, yeah.
So this is sort of like the new evolution of money. A lot of crypto pundits say, and I would put myself in that category. That okay, now you have decentralized money that is backed by the blockchain.
Fascinating. I'm so excited to see what's in the future. I mean, I hope I'm excited. I mean, like I don't know, but like I think it's cool. You know, it's cool that like nobody. It's cool that we have a sort of like it's this like the people. You know, it's the people and something shared. And I based on just listening to you, mate. Like I feel like I have confidence. You know, I feel like I feel more confident. I mean, buy a coin today. If you're a long wait, buy it for your kids. I swear they'll thank you. I swear
yeah, exactly.
At 2141, the coin you have today, even if it's just one damn coin, it will make a difference for your child or your child's child. At one point,
depends on how long we live, right?
Well, I don't know if the world's gonna explode or not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's your opinion on it, then I think I've done my job.
I think thank you.
I've done my job as a salesman.
Thank you. I feel blessed. I feel sold. I feel sold. Speaking of the world crumbling down, let's get to a different topic here.
Sure.
You did say that you spent a few years in Ukraine, in Kiev specifically,
yes.
For Bitcoin, obviously. But you know, it's a blessing that our work sometimes can take us through different places in the world. Let's talk about Ukraine, man. You lived in Kiev, right?
Yes.
How is that, man? There's the world feels like it's crumbling down over there. At least, but you told me that your colleagues are still working there. So
yes,
what's the experience of living in Kiev, man?
So
tell me about it.
Yeah, so I moved to Kiev in November of 2018.
Okay,
and I stayed there until I believe December 2021.
Man, you just missed that freaking war.
Yeah,
the freaking war.
Yeah, so I moved out. So that was just pure luck, right? Like I moved
God
out
bless, man.
2 months.
Glad you're safe, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, glad you're safe.
So I moved out 2 months before the war happened, and that was just for work. By that time, Russian troops were already sort of consolidating on the border, but it was something that was not very expected, right? It was something that even a day or a few days before the actual invasion on February 24th. A lot of my Ukrainian friends and colleagues, they didn't expect this at all.
They didn't expect even when all the soldiers were lined up. Because February 24th, I remember when I started seeing the news in January, I was like, yo, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And like, I mean, even with the border from surrounding north and east of Ukraine, like people didn't think they were gonna walk in.
Yeah, so there were like 100,000 troops that were approximately consolidated on the Russian-Ukrainian border.
Yeah.
Also in Belarus.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And I can only give you sort of my anecdotal experience.
It's fine. It's fine. I believe your experience. Not everyone lived in Kiev. You know?
Yeah.
Not everyone who's Thai as half Thai.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, there's not so many ties.
Very little, right?
Very little. Yeah. And none of them really believed that they would pull the trigger, right? Like everyone thought this was just Putin bluffing. He just wants more leverage, or he wants to have like some internal goal achieved by consolidating his troops on the border. He was saying to the world, "Oh, this is a training exercise. Why are the Western powers overreacting?" Right.
Right.
But it actually happened, and something that was really interesting was actually a week or two before the actual invasion, the American embassy actually evacuated their staff.
Oh wow.
From the Kiev embassy,
yeah.
I think out west, and I think the British embassy did the same.
So there was like signs were already coming up, eh?
Yeah,
absolutely. But the actual people, the citizens,
it was business as usual.
The residents of Kiev didn't think about it.
It was business as usual. I think a few weeks before the actual war began, Joe Biden was saying, how dangerous it would be to be in Kiev right now, and advised Americans to not go to Ukraine. And I think Zelensky replied, I think he tweeted something along the lines of, okay, well, the streets of Kiev are probably safer than the streets of LA. That's the comedian in him.
It's the comedian in him, eh?
Yeah. If you guys didn't know, the president of Ukraine, who I genuinely respect, by the way, he's pulled his people through a dark time and still doing so. He used to be a comedian,
Yeah.
right? He had his own show called Servant of the People.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And it was
man.
about, I haven't seen the show, but the premise of it was like a Ukrainian school teacher who somehow wins the election in some way,
Yeah.
and he's put into power,
Yeah.
and now he's the president for Ukraine.
Yeah.
And so that was what he did before he
And
ran for president and
was-
won a landslide
It was
victory.
so funny, yeah.
That was
'cause
hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like it's almost like that show was like a prediction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
He predicted it, and then he was like, and then like what he announced his candidacy like not long, and then it's kind of crazy. This
Yeah,
world is changing.
He won a huge landslide election over the incumbent.
You were there during the elections.
Yes,
right?
yes, I was there.
What
It was in 2019. Yeah.
What was the mood like?
So
People were like, yo, Zelensky.
So it's a very good question. I'm not so sure. Basically, the incumbent was a guy called Petro Poroshenko.
Mm-hmm.
He was a billionaire, and he was known as like the chocolate king of Ukraine, because he
Okay.
owned like the biggest candy confectionery company in Ukraine called Roshen,
Okay.
right? And he was the incumbent, and I guess people weren't happy with him, and they really liked Zelensky's charisma.
He sure has charisma.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not so sure. I have colleagues who voted for Poroshenko,
Oh,
and I
okay,
have
okay.
colleagues who voted for Zelensky, right?
Right.
And Ukrainians are very like politically active. At least the ones I interacted with in Kiev were. And it was interesting because even though actually one of my colleagues who is very, very politically active
Mhm.
voted against Zelensky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's a real patriot. She supports Zelensky now because you can't do anything but support a man who's trying to bring your country to victory.
Yeah, or like at least like gain back or make it safe or whatever, like
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
sovereignty, independence.
it's very admirable. So that's
No,
actually what happened. Yeah.
no, it was super cool. The clip when he when the war was launched and he raised up his camera and he was like, "I am President Zelensky. I'm in Ukraine. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm here with my ministers or
so
whatever it was."
That was hilarious because what happened was someone from the Russian government said that, "Oh, why are you still fighting? Zelensky and his ministers have already left Ukraine." Right?
Oh, it
So
was
he
like-
stood in the middle of Ukraine in I believe it
It's a-
was
a square, right?
Yeah, I think it's called Krishatik. I might be mistaken. But so he did that. He had a camera out and he took a selfie video and he's like, "Okay, I'm here. This minister here, that minister's here. We're not leaving." And that was just hilarious.
It was cool.
That was hilarious.
It was hilarious, and it was really cool. It was brave.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he's still there. He's
Yeah,
still
he's
there.
still there.
And he's like still like, "Yo, help me out," sort of thing. It's respectable, honestly. It's
Yes.
respectable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. And what is it really like now? Because you have colleagues who are still working there.
Yes.
You told me a story the other day, like you were zooming with your friend or something, and she was like so casual, like, "Oh, sorry," like, what was it? What did you say? Like, "Oh, there's a bombing right now. I'm in a shelter." And
Yeah.
could you recall that story for me, please?
Yeah, so Kiev was attacked at the beginning of the war quite
Right.
heavily,
Right.
right? But after, let's say, I don't know the exact timeline, but after I believe like a month or two, the heavy attacks stopped happening in Kiev, right? So there weren't any like
Right,
shelling or
right.
rockets being launched at Kiev
Right.
until about
Not too long ago.
Yeah, until about three weeks ago, I believe.
Not long ago. Not long at all.
Yes. Yeah, until about 3 weeks ago, because a lot of the fighting was happening, in the port cities like Mariupol and Melitopol and
Right.
and on the eastern border,
right,
the Donbass,
Yeah. That. Yeah.
right? And Kiev was essentially not untouched, but like there were air raid sirens most days, but it was business as usual. It was regarded as safe. Right? People were going to the office, people were going to restaurants, they were going to bars and all that, right? Until about 3 weeks ago when Russia began firing rockets at civilian infrastructure
And power plants.
yeah, exactly. In Kiev, right? And now there is there's problems with some people aren't getting water, some people there's power cuts, internet is not good, and every now and then the people would actually have to go into bomb shelters or the subway to escape the carnage, right? So I have like two stories, both of them I previously discussed with you, right?
Gone.
It was Monday, a couple weeks ago. I was messaging a colleague, and I just felt so bad because she was just like, "Hey man, how are you? I'm sorry, the internet's not so good. I don't have electricity, and there's no water." And she was still carrying out her duties,
That's
right? And there was another colleague that I work.
Man.
Yeah,
These guys are tough people. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so there was another colleague I work with. Her name is Kate.
Okay.
She's very very brave girl.
Okay.
Right. Very very intelligent girl also. And she said, I was messaging her about work, something about work, and she took a picture of her laptop that she was working on, and she was actually in the subway.
Avoiding.
Yeah, because there was an air raid siren, right? So,
right.
but she was still working, and I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Some tough woman, man.
Yeah,
Some
she's
tough
very,
woman,
very,
man.
very tough girl. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Would you say Ukrainian women are tough?
absolutely.
Tough as nails, would you say?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. I mean, let's speak about pre-war here for a second.
Sure.
You've been with your partner for I don't know how long.
2 years.
2 years. So you guys obviously met before. You guys were pre-war. And speaking of Ukrainian woman, tough woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I wanted to speak about experience of living in Kiev pre-war. How was that? Is there something that Bangkok should take note of?
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
Kiev is like a pretty cool city before this stuff. Before all this war stuff, Kiev was a cool, super cool city.
Yeah.
They were like Berlin of the East. That's what they say.
Yes, exactly right. I mean, I've been to Berlin for the first time this year, right? And I can say it's very much like that. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, really. Like Bangkok is definitely up there because I grew up here.
It's home,
and
yeah.
and everyone knows Bangkok is a lot of fun, and there's something for everyone, right?
Right.
But Kiev was definitely one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to in the world.
Now, why is that, my friend?
It's fun. The architecture is beautiful. The people are beautiful. It's just like easy living. The cost of living is low. The amount of money. The value you get for your money is unbelievable, right? It is, if not as good, maybe even a bit better than Thailand in terms of value for money.
Really?
Yes.
What do you mean by that? Like things are cheaper?
Yeah, no, not. I hate that word cheap. I prefer value.
Okay.
In terms of value, what you get for your money, it is insanely good. Like if you go to Thailand has amazing value for money, right? You go to a street restaurant or something like this, you pay 60 baht and you're able to get like a full meal and it's delicious, right? In Kiev, it's like you pay like, let's say $10 or less, right? 300 baht maybe. You pay 300 baht and you're able to go into like an amazing restaurant, beautiful, and the food is cooked to like a very high European standard and it's delicious also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can get European food in Europe, but like pretty nice.
But for Thai prices.
Very affordable. That's nice, man. That's cool, man. I bet. Whenever this war ends, we're gonna take a trip to Kiev, man.
I really, really, really want to go back. I really hope for the safety of everyone that I know in Ukraine, and I really hope for Ukrainian victory. I think Ukraine will get there because now a lot of other countries around the world are seeing that it's not doomed. Ukraine can in fact win this war, and it's seeming more likely that not only that the Russian army is losing, that Putin is losing, right, or at the very least suffering a lot of losses
more than the opposition.
So now because of this, there's more backing of Ukraine, right, from a lot of Western countries, which I love.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Got anything to say to the homies and the brothers out there?
Yeah,
who are listening right now.
Well, I hope you stay safe. I don't know how much my words are worth, but Ukraine and the Ukrainian people are always in my thoughts. So I hope you're safe.
That's cool, brother. God bless them, man. God bless everyone who's fighting right now. God bless anyone who feels like they need to do something. God bless them all. And look, I want peace. Hope. I hope for peace.
Absolutely.
And whatever that comes, I hope soon. So I just want to follow your life a little bit longer. We first we heard about crypto, and then I know you spent a few years in Kiev, 3 years, and then in December 21 you moved to Ukraine, into Dubai. Gratefully, you missed the war.
Yes.
I'm thankful for that, at least. I mean, you're my brother. It's been nice. It's been really fun, catching up with you, and it's been really good and entertaining as well. So I just want to follow all the way through to about this year, about when you moved to Dubai.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all. So just the last thing I would like to say about Ukraine.
Oh yeah, go on, man. Go on.
Yeah. So actually, you asked me in just before our break. You were asking like, what is something that perhaps Thailand,
right,
or Bangkok could really copy from Ukraine. There's both cities are amazing in their own way, right? I genuinely love both cities at the bottom of my heart.
I
right?
feel it. I feel it, brother.
So something that I really enjoyed in Kiev, that's not really here in Bangkok. It's a very like slight thing, but important. So when the weather is nice in Ukraine, right? When the weather is nice in Ukraine, everyone wants to walk everywhere, right? Everyone wants to walk everywhere, and you know why? It's so nice to walk there. Like the road, the streets are clean. There's this beautiful architecture. If the weather's nice and not freezing like it usually is, right?
Half the time.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone wants to walk everywhere, and it's just I miss that. You can't really walk so much. Bangkok is not built as a walking city. It's hot, it's grimy, it's dirty. It's got its soul, but that's what it is. Like I consider myself a Bangkokian, right? Like this is my home, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't go for walks, like
really.
my girlfriend is like, hey man, let's go for a walk. I was like, for what? It's not nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not nice, right? Like okay, maybe the parks are kind of cool, but like they're not everywhere, right? There's like way more malls here. If you want to go for a walk, you just walk in the mall.
You walk in the mall. You walk in aircon
where there's nice air conditioning, and maybe she can go look at the stuff there.
Yeah.
Chanel, Prada, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But in Ukraine, I miss that. There were so many good places to walk, like everywhere.
Like walking neighborhoods, eh?
Yeah. It was everywhere, dude. It was everywhere, right?
Like you can walk. Like, is this a conversation of public transport, or is this a conversation of walking districts?
Yeah, it's mostly like the streets are the sidewalks are much wider than here. Here you can barely fit two motorbikes here.
I know. That's a total issue, man.
Right.
And there's no place to walk around here.
There's not really,
unless you want to risk your life on the motorbikes.
Exactly.
Like zoom next to you, like, oh shit,
Yeah. So that's just like one small thing that I really missed about Ukraine. It's
the walking.
Yeah, the walk. And then the other thing,
yeah.
Nightlife.
That is an issue I am really like. When we were younger, Nikki, like it was like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, not that we stayed out to 4 a.m. all the time.
No,
but it was
we never did that. What are you talking
but
about?
it was, exactly. But it was the accessibility. It was the accessibility of not having to feel like, okay, it's 10 a.m., it's 10 p.m., we gotta move.
Yes.
Like it's the accessibility and the availability of like, hey, it's like let's have dinner at 10.
Yeah.
I got work till 8 p.m. and let's have dinner at 10, and then let's like go meet our friends at midnight.
Yeah, that's been a bit of an issue for me because I moved back about a month ago, and I'm still in this mindset of, okay, you know what? Let's meet up at like 10. We'll have some food. We'll drink a little bit. At midnight, we'll go out. We'll have some good time. If you do that in Thailand, okay, it's like 2 hours later, and then the bouncer's like kicking you out.
Right.
It's not like what is that?
Yeah, and look, man, like it's funny. Like I'm getting a lot of ideas as I speak to you, but it's like man, like our lifestyles are more catered towards like we're more nocturnal as we are.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
like think of Japanese businessmen. They work until like 9 p.m. and they have to go like. It's their culture, right? Where they have
to go back 8 hours later
to the izakaya or whatever to be with the boss or whatever.
Yeah. That.
But like, what if work for some people ends at 10?
Mm-hmm.
What if? And you know what? Bangkok has a pretty intense working culture. We sometimes people close late. Especially if you're a consultant or you work in agency, you on the job for long hours. So like when you get off at 9, when you get off at 10, when you have to get off late. How do you take it easy?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Everything in this is one of the things that this is one of the things I love about Bangkok, right?
Right.
Like I want to bring this to I wish this was in the West, right, where everything is open 24 hours, right?
That's
if
nice.
if you're not open 24 hours, you're not going to be able to compete.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And in the West, in Ukraine, it was less so.
Yeah.
But in a lot of countries in the West, it's like 6 p.m., 8 p.m. You can't even
very very
it's
tough.
just closed.
Yeah, very tough. Yeah.
Everything is closed. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, we have 24/7 convenience stores, but we don't have 27 entertainment centers like there is in Europe.
That's a huge irony. Yeah.
I know, it's really weird.
That's just very
we
ironic.
have food for you, but we don't have a place for you to be entertained. But the other way is like, oh, you could go ahead and entertain yourself. There's no food for you.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't we just do both things? Why don't we just do both things? Like, man, and you know what? The thing is, it's much harder to tell people, okay, you guys are open like 24/7. But here, I'm telling you right now, if people if cats were like, yo, let's do 24 hours or let's or 4 a.m.
Yes.
People are gonna be happy because
man,
it's more
absolutely.
hours for them to work. And look, there's a lot of the night industry employs a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether that's like bouncers, guards.
This is the thing. I think
artists.
a lot of people trivialize the importance of nightlife, right? Like, okay, maybe I'm just naive and I'm only like 26 years old, right? But I think it's important.
It's a part of life,
right? Like I genuinely, like I would not move to a country if I knew their nightlife was terrible, right? I just wouldn't, right? Because whether you think I'm this or that, it's like it's an important part of my life, and I know it's an important part of everyone's life.
It is,
and that's something else about Ukraine. Like the nightlife there was insane. There was something for everyone, just the way it is in Thailand, right? But I'm a raver. I love going to these underground raves. I love techno, and Ukraine was just like.
I bet, man. I bet. I've seen some of these like Vice or whatever, like Eastern European
underground
techno,
raves.
Underground. It just looks like it brings me back to the 90s. At least like videos that I've seen on memes and that Russian kid dancing like. Like,
it's a bit more refined than that. They have like in Kiev there's like a very Berlin style of raving, right? You wear the people who show up are wearing black clothes, they're covered in tattoos, and they show up at like 2 or 3 a.m. right. But it's just so much fun, and the parties continue until like noon.
Is there the same law in Kiev as it is in Berlin that you have to look a certain way to be able to enter the clubs?
It depends on the club. It depends on the club.
So there is, right? So it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the thing. In Kiev, it was the first time I ever heard of something called face control. Have you ever heard of face control?
No, never.
So this is what it's called, right? So there's different kinds of clubs, right? There's like these mainstream clubs that that play mainstream music and
you drive a Ferrari there.
Yeah, exactly. In Kiev, a lot of clubs will have face control, right? So if you don't look the part, it depends on what club you go to,
if
right?
it's like a punk club, you should look punk.
Yeah, so if you go to like one of these techno raves, right? Very much like Berlin, if you don't look like you are part of the scene, or you look like you're gonna cause problems, or you fit like a certain stereotype that they don't want,
I see.
Then they'll just say no. And that happens a lot.
And are people okay with that? It's almost like you're proud once you get in, right? You're like, I'm cool. Like one of those soul house, like, I'm cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, is it a problem?
No, not really, because generally speaking, they do a good job weeding the people out. Like
there's sense to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was in line for one of my favorite clubs in the world called Closer.
Okay.
Yeah, in Kiev, and it was hilarious because it's built in sort of like this abandoned factory, right? In this abandoned factory.
So cool, man. Yeah. That's so cool.
So there's to go to the entrance, there's a winding stair to go up, and usually on a Saturday or Friday, on a Saturday night rather, there's quite a long line, right? I was in line for maybe like 20-30 minutes, and some guys ahead of me were like these British lads. They were wearing colorful polo shirts, wearing shorts. They all had beers in their hands, and they were doing that very annoying British chant. That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
They got to the face control lady. Seconds later, 4 of them had to walk out because they were like, dude, we don't need this kind of.
This is not the energy,
right?
Yeah,
we don't need this kind of shit here,
yeah.
So in that sense, I love it. I mean, I like it.
I mean, I don't want to go to a club, be like loud people, like and like I don't know, like if they're not just proper either, like tank tops or something. I don't want your like armpit hair in my in my drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like dancing, like like relax.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like yes, is it like somewhat pretentious? I guess you can say so. It's like, oh, you're not cool enough to be part of the cool kids, right? Like, there's that going on, but it's also the same time, if this kind of mechanism wasn't in place, then the rave culture would disintegrate quite quickly.
Right.
Like if like for example, if those lads were let in and other people who aren't really part of that culture were let in frequently, the people who genuinely love the culture would just go elsewhere, or they would just they wouldn't deal with it. Right. So that was one of my favorite things about Kiev, just the insane nightlife. Like I wish we had that. We've been doing better, right? Like the day commune night. That was fun. That was pretty close. That was pretty close to that. Actually. It was pretty close to that. I mean, yes, it closed at 3, but excuse me, it was. I had a lot of it was a lot of fun there, and the music was great. The sound system was good, and people were just enjoying the music the way God intended to.
No, it was a good time. It was a good time. I mean, I was roughly around two-ish to like around it was a good time. It was a really good time. Like, oh man, like I remember my times when I was spending in like in the West. It's like it's part of life. I think it's genuinely part of life, and it's where like you get to experiment a bit. Why do you think Halloween is so one of the most celebrated, not celebrated, but the most participated events? Like Christmas too, but like Halloween. Like people just want to like.
It's an excuse for people to dress in slutty costumes.
Yeah, sure. But it's also. I feel like it's something deeper than that. It's like when the moon is full. You get to experiment. And I think I mean like, Halloween is a good time for me to wear something new. When I'm like, that shirt I've been looking over there, like, it looks cool, but I don't know if it'll work with me. But it's Halloween, I'll try it.
Well, would you dress up as Halloween for this?
Oh, I mean, now like I'm quite certain with what I like. But every year I just put on a cowboy hat.
Oh yeah, no, that's what happened. You were the Thailand cowboy hat.
Yeah. I wear the same thing, but then I wear just a hat and call it an outfit. I mean, the whole cowboy thing came because Halloween.
Oh yeah,
and the whole like experimenting. Like I think it's part of life, especially it is for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like last year I dressed as Naruto. I mean,
that's cool. That's really cool. Okay. Speaking of experimenting and I don't know, living life and being young and blah blah blah, you just came back from Dubai, no?
Yes.
And how was Dubai?
So I moved to Dubai in late December of 2021.
So that makes you
So it was like about 10 months I was living there fully.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah. It's enough time to I think if you want to move to a new city and you want to give it a chance, minimum you have to give it 6 months. Right? Minimum. Right, and so that was more than 6 months, and for me, living Dubai, it had its pros and its cons. I moved there for work, right? Dubai is sort of like the pinnacle of the crypto industry, right? Like a lot of big companies set up shop in Dubai, have their headquarters in Dubai.
Yeah,
I think the CEO of Binance, CZ, I believe he lives in Dubai, and he's looking to make the headquarters of Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange in the world.
Wow.
In Dubai.
And why Dubai? Is it because of the oil?
No. It has nothing to do with oil. Basically, no tax, right? So so it's zero tax.
It's like Florida out there, yeah.
Yeah. So Florida, I think, has a federal tax, but it doesn't have a state tax. So I think there's like 4 states in the U.S. that doesn't have a state tax.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think Florida is one of them.
And how about Dubai?
So Dubai, there's the only tax that exists, as far as I know, is a VAT. So they have like 5% VAT.
Okay.
And that's it. Right?
That's it.
So there's no income tax.
No income tax, no property tax, no corporate tax.
Yeah, property, I'm not sure. I think they have a similar model to Hong Kong where you can't own property. You can lease the property from the government for like an extended, like 100 years or whatever. I see. But
No corporate tax?
I believe not, but I might be mistaken.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, basically.
But hell, no personal income tax. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That sounds pretty good to me.
I hate paying tax. So I mean,
yeah, as a libertarian would say, tax is like stealing money. Yeah.
Shout out to Ben Shapiro. So there's like 3 reasons I believe that like a lot of crypto and tech companies set up shop in Dubai, but I can only speak for crypto companies, right? So one is the tax. The second one is the fact that the government has come in forward in favor of supporting these crypto companies, right?
Oh yeah,
The Dubai government is very pro crypto.
that's
Yes,
cool,
absolutely.
man.
They're
That's
very
so
very pro
cool.
crypto. And the third reason is because it's an ecosystem, right? To do business in the crypto space, it's a space that's riddled with scams and bullshit and
I'm sure there's a lot of
yeah,
scammers out
there's a
there,
lot of that.
a lot of fakers out there.
Exactly. So in Dubai, it's like it's easier to meet people face to face and hash out deals that way, or do business that way, right? It's always easier to do business if you're meeting face to face rather than over Zoom,
Obviously,
right?
yeah.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned oil. It's a lot of these Gulf states that are rich in oil. They are looking to diversify, right? So they want to. So they have like a lot of wealth in oil, but if you just rely on oil and you sort of have to capitulate to oil prices, which is exactly what happened to Venezuela, right? When oil prices went down, they were in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
right. So the Gulf states are clever in the sense that they're heavily diversifying. You know, like a lot of these big internet companies that are based in the U.S. are have huge shareholders based in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and even the Emirates, right?
Right.
And so that's sort of why Dubai, for example, wants to heavily invest in technology. We have a Silicon Oasis instead of Silicon Valley. We have Silicon Oasis.
Is that what's it called?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Where like the big internet companies set up shop.
Okay.
Sorry, tech companies rather. And so they've done a good job in the sense that they're trying to diversify away from oil money into like tourism.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these like tourist ideas at the whole the line from what country is it? Was
Saudi
it
Arabia.
Saudi Arabia? The line. It's a crazy infrastructure project, man.
Yeah,
Crazy
exactly.
project.
I mean, I think it's bullshit.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's cool.
No, so projects like that is built to sort of bring tourists over to the country, and stuff like making tech companies easier. It's sort of like a brain drain. These companies are incentivized to set up shop there because it's so good to set up shop there, and because they're setting up shop there, they have to hire people, and it's good for the local economy.
Would you say Dubai or let's just say to Dubai, because I know you haven't been all around the Middle East, but let's just say Dubai is perhaps a future, a place. If you're interested in crypto or tech, you could move to Dubai. It would be a good place.
100%. So
a good springboard.
So I will say this about this is what I like about tech companies and more specifically crypto companies. There is usually a remote first policy, even in the big companies, right? So in Binance, for example, I always like to give the example of Binance. Binance usually has a remote first policy, right?
Could you define remote first policy?
Yeah. So there are positions there where they say, okay, well, it's a global company, right? So there's like a biz dev guy in Europe, in Asia Pacific, in Africa, and so on, right? So it's like, okay, you don't have to be there, but it'd be good if you were there. It's not mandatory that you need to move there and go to the office every day. Simply, be around the area. If we need you to go somewhere in that area, we expect you to be there. But remote, you can work remotely. And that's something that the pandemic has sort of brought forth, right? Like, during the pandemic, a lot of these tech companies and crypto companies before did not have a remote first policy, right? It was like, you come to the office, whatever,
the
right?
whole spiel.
And for me, it was okay because I like going to the office, right? But it got to the point where, during this remote policy, during the pandemic, everyone was like, hey, I'm actually really productive at home, or you know what? I don't like commuting to work, or I enjoy working here than going to the office every day, and I'm just as productive, right?
Right.
So a lot of these tech companies began to realize that a lot of people like this, and companies that are not willing to pivot to it, they're losing a lot of employees now. Actually, I have a friend who's a recruiter / headhunter. And he says that when companies say they're especially tech companies, when they say that they're going to go, they won't have a remote first policy. Everyone is expected to go to the office. He just starts headhunting the people from that company because these people want to work from home.
I see.
So that's just like one tactic that he's been using.
That's cool, man. It's almost as if like okay, I know COVID was terrible, and I'm sure a lot of people lost their lives, and I'm sure a lot of people had some terrible mental health, and so on and so forth. But there is something good that's coming out of it, eh?
Yeah. So this remote, you could attribute this to COVID,
Yeah,
right? This was like, without this
yeah,
massive triggering event, who knows,
yeah,
right? Like we
yeah,
there
yeah.
might still not be this policy
Yeah, I
present.
mean, yeah, for all the lives that's lost, I don't want to, but like positive thinking,
Yes.
positive thinking.
So just to get back to your point about working in Dubai and so on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's a great place to work.
yeah,
If you're really career oriented, you're proactive, and you want to make it big, right? Dubai is like
it's a good play.
it's a good place for you, man,
Yeah,
because like it's so competitive,
yeah.
especially in the sales space. It's
Sales.
yeah.
Oh,
In a lot of
that's a hustle. That's a hustle.
Yeah.
That's a very hustle path to go down. Sales is a very tough
Yeah,
job.
so in a lot of sales jobs in Dubai, right? In Dubai, like whether it's real estate or finance or traditional finance or whatever, right? Um, they generally offer like very small salary or even no salary at all, and it's like, hey man, if you're a new guy, you're not getting a salary. Okay, you're on notice.
Mm-hmm.
You're expected to do well. If you don't do well, we're gonna fire you,
Okay.
right?
Is there a but here?
Yeah, no, there's no but. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying it's
It's very
very competitive,
Mhm.
and the reason they're able to get away with that is because in Dubai, a lot of the employee labor laws, right? Because there's not so many, I'm just saying, right? Like a lot of these labor laws, they favor the employer.
I
So
see, I see.
employers in Dubai can get away with a lot of stuff that they, for example, they can't get away with in the West.
So it's a great place for an entrepreneur, you'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. But like people,
How about working? How about labor? I mean, I know some Thai folks go there.
yes.
Actually, a lot of Thai people go to Dubai. It's like you make like what, like starting 40. I could be wrong, but
Yes.
45,000 baht. But I know that living costs could be very expensive over there.
Yeah, 45. So actually, it's very interesting. The conversion of the local currency, which is the Arab Emirate dirham, AED, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is one dirham is 10 baht.
Mm-hmm.
Thereabouts, right?
Around
It
about.
fluctuates a little bit, but
As
thereabouts.
of right now.
Yeah. So it's very easy to do price conversions because you just simply add a zero, and then that's your price in Thai baht.
That's nice.
Right?
That's
So
really nice.
it really pisses me off every time I go to the supermarket, and then
Oh, yeah.
I'm just adding zeros to everything. I'm like, God
Yeah,
damn.
yeah.
even if this was in baht, it would still be. I mean,
Yeah, it's still very
it's just
expensive.
crazy expensive.
How much is a bottle of water over there?
No, water's cheap.
Water's cheap?
Yeah,
Okay,
water.
yeah.
Yeah, like a big bottle of water is like 17 baht, 20 baht, something.
Oh.
Like that. So same price here.
Oh, that's interesting.
But like beer, for example, you go to
Oh,
any
That is a Muslim country. It's probably it's
yeah,
probably expensive, eh?
it's getting better. Dubai is becoming a lot more liberal than before.
Right.
Like previously, if like 5-6 years ago, there were hotels where you couldn't stay there with a girl if you weren't married,
Wow, that's
right?
tough.
And now that's not the case anymore. With alcohol, yeah, it's restricted. It's expensive. It's very annoying. You go to any bar and a beer is usually going to be 450 to 500 baht just for a small bottle.
That sounds expensive.
So
man.
here it's like you order a beer, you don't really look at the prices, right? It's a beer,
Yeah.
right? It's whatever, right?
Yeah.
There it's like, how many beers can I? You're looking at the menu and you're like, how many beers can I afford tonight?
Damn.
Yeah.
That's rough, man.
Yeah,
That is rough.
I hated that.
Yeah. It's nice to feel free. It's nice to feel like I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a luxury.
Maybe that's a bit arrogant of me to say, right?
No,
Because
no.
I don't know, but
I mean, look, like in Korea, water. I mean, soju is as cheap as water, and in Germany too, beer is as cheap as beer is only as like what, like 100, like it's cheap for draft,
Uh-huh.
So it's like it's we say it's a luxury, but also in some countries it's like it's the normal.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's cool, man.
So I'll just say this about it: if you're career oriented, if you like a high pressure if you like high pressure jobs, because it is going to be high pressure there, even if your company isn't, because it's competitive, right? Everyone is making money.
Right.
Everyone has money,
Super competitive.
and it's a very expensive city. So you feel the pressure that you need to be making more money, right? But it's a great opportunity for people to sort of sharpen their skills, to begin making more money, and to get on that path, right? Because you're there, you're making connections also, right? That's
Around the
insanely
world is there, man. Around the world. I mean, Binance is over there, and Binance is connected to the worldwide crypto.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely,
what I'm saying? Like that's
absolutely.
insane, man. Insane.
So the cons about Dubai is just for me specifically, it was mostly bureaucratic, and the sense and the fact that everything was a monopoly there, right? Like, so that's sort of the way it works.
Tough,
that
yeah.
you don't have to pay taxes, but everything that's how their government generates income, right? Everything is state owned. So internet, utilities, etc. Everything is state owned, right? So because they don't have competition, they don't have to give you good service, right? Like I was paying something like how much was that? Like $100 a month? No, like $80 a month.
Okay.
For my my phone 4G
package.
My package, right?
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I got like 10 gigabytes of data and like 120 minutes of call time.
That's not that much.
And I was like, why? Like why am I paying this money for this? And guess what? The service is not even good.
No,
it's not even good. It's like,
I mean, 10 gigabytes, you can only watch a few Netflix out there.
Huh?
10 gigabytes, you can only watch a few Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching Netflix, you need
get
to
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, get Wi-Fi.
Get Wi-Fi. Get friggin' Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but that was incredibly inconvenient. Another thing is, there's just fines left, right, and center.
You mentioned.
I even made a joke there. It's like, hey, are you an emirate? Because you got fine written all over you. They love fining people.
Yeah.
A little slow there.
Yeah, I was like, wait, where's the word fine in Emirates? But it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's like, of course.
So
makes sense now.
It's very interesting. Like, there's everyone who drives there, right? You have to register your vehicle, and you'll have like an application, right? And this application will track your fines, right? So at the end of the year, you have to go clear the fines at the DMV or their equivalent of the DMV.
Right.
And it's hilarious because like I have a friend, and it was like near the beginning of the year, he already racked up like $3,000-$4,000 in fines.
Oh my, but Jesus, 3,000.
You drive. Let's say you drive and you're speeding, right?
Right.
There's just cameras, and your phone would just go ping.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, but the question is, how much is the fine?
Like, it depends. Like, if you're like speeding or something like that,
like just a simple speeding.
I think about 5,000 baht.
Wow.
So 500 dirhams, 5,000 baht.
It's divided by 10, right? Because it's 500 baht. Oh, I could be wrong actually.
No, 500 dirhams.
No,
5,000.
No, I'm saying over here, it's like not that. It's like 500 or 1,000 baht. I mean, in Dubai, there's like, with all those sports cars, you probably want to
So actually, the reason why I think they did this is because there's a lot of Emiratis there who are driving very expensive cars, and they drive very quick, right?
I bet.
They'd rather just settle the fine at the end of the year, because to them it's nothing, right? Like 500 dirhams to them is nothing, right? So for them, it's like they'd rather just drive like this, pay the fine at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. Like I told you, I was in a car with my friend, and it was like ping. He looked, fuck, I got fined. Just like that, you park wrong, fine. You make an illegal turn, fine. Here it's like, if the police sees you, maybe you'll get a fine.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a big cowboy over here. It's a big cowboy. Yeah. Anyways, brother, this is what a great conversation. What a great catch up, man. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. Really appreciate you. There's a lot of things to unpack and learn over here about Dubai, about Kyiv, about Ukraine, about the war, about crypto. There's so many things, man. Like, man, out of one person, like, it's only like 10 years or 6 years, as you mentioned. There's so many things, man. Life is so precious, man.
Absolutely.
Just before we leave, you got any plugins or for anything that you'd like to for the audience to know?
Yeah. So if like for me, I'm usually a pretty private guy, but I'm very open to have chats with a lot of people. Like I love talking about interesting topics. So if you want to connect to me personally, right? Just connect to me on Instagram at nick.the.pig.
You pig.
Yeah, Nick the pig. Yeah,
that's cool, man.
I got that from Scarface. Actually.
Oh, okay.
I got that from Scarface. Yeah, so I'm a very open guy. If you want to just have a chat, or you want to know more about the topics that we spoke about, please just send me a message.
Right, and to all to the miners out there that wants to join a company, hit up my friend over here, Nick.
Absolutely.
At Nick the Pig. He's gonna connect you with what you need to know. If you're trying to get to Dubai for about crypto businesses, hit up my friend over here. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother. Truly a blessing, man. Truly a blessing.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, brother. And until next time, man. Sawadee krap.